Welcome back. And now I'm joined once again by Richard Hewison, leader of the Rejoin EU party. And we are going to be talking about Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland, of course, has been one of the biggest talking points throughout the Brexit process. Arguably, one of the main things that sunk Theresa May's deal, among other things, back in 2019. Still remains one of the biggest talking points, especially in the wake of the recent local elections in the UK. Now, Sinn Féin has for the first time become the largest party in Northern Ireland, overtaking the Democratic Unionist Party, the DUP, largely seen as a hard right party, very pro-UK. Richard, from the point of view of an anti-Brexit campaigner, what did you make of the result?
Well, I think obviously quite a lot of the tension was over the protocol and the existence and the continuance of the protocol. And I think it's just worth reminding ourselves of what we called back in 2016 the Brexit paradox. You have to have a border between Britain and France for Brexit to work, but you can't have a border between France and Ireland. You can't have a border between Ireland and Northern Ireland, and you can't have a border between Northern Ireland and Great Britain. And this very, very unhappy compromise of basically drawing an iron curtain down the Irish Sea and separating at that point in terms of goods that the protocol offered, obviously was going to upset the unionist community very, very badly. But it has actually, well, I say it's delivered stability. Obviously, the number of grace periods we've had with extending deadlines on checking cold meats into Northern Ireland, now pretty much extended indefinitely, basically means that it seems to be working well for everyone apart from the unionist community. And I totally understand that. And let me just say, I have a huge amount of sympathy for everybody in Northern Ireland, whichever community they're in, because very, very little consultation has happened to the people of Northern Ireland as to the status of Northern Ireland within the Union and within the European Union. And that I do feel has been neglected. Now, I think voters were very, very aware of the protocol and the potential for the protocol being changed. And I think they very much voted with their feet. If we now have a look at the new Northern Ireland Assembly, 57 out of the 90 members are pro keeping the protocol in place as it stands at the moment.
Now, of course, the Democratic Unionist Party, which opposes the protocol, very strongly pro-UK party, has said it will not nominate a deputy leader, a deputy First Minister of Northern Ireland until Boris Johnson, quote unquote, addresses issues around the protocol. Now, for some context, under the terms of the Good Friday Agreement, which ended the decades-long conflict between unionist nationalists in Ireland, both unionist and nationalist communities must agree to power share. The largest in the Northern Ireland Assembly must put up the First Minister, and the second largest must put up the Deputy First Minister. Now, as Sinn Féin, a nationalist party, is the largest party, it's for the first time ever is entitled to nominate a First Minister, and it would be beholden on the DUP to nominate a deputy, but they must both agree before that power sharing can happen. Boris Johnson's been in Northern Ireland to attempt to restore the power sharing. What have you made of his attempts?
Well, I think, first of all, the Democratic Unionist Party have really acted against their first word there, because what they're doing is not democratic. We have a new assembly. The new assembly is not even not nominating a minister. Don't forget, they've also blocked the election of a speaker to the assembly, meaning that we can't even have assembly meetings where issues can be put to votes of the floor to determine the direction we were going. And it's not surprising because, of course, it is something that the DUP would lose in the Northern Ireland Assembly, almost certainly, if they were trying to get a vote for ditching the protocol. So this sort of blackmail technique is totally scurrilous. And whichever party was doing this under whatever circumstance, I hope Democrats would frown on such movements. But unfortunately, they do seem to now have the UK government pretty much by the short and curlies. And let's be honest, Boris Johnson's trip to Northern Ireland is very, very unlikely to calm things down and settle things. Although I do hear a couple of press reports that the DUP might be feeling more moderate now which we'll wait and see if that actually plays out.
Well, it's worth remembering that Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, the current leader of the DUP, was meant to be seen as one of the more moderate members of the DUP. Last year, there was, of course, a leadership election, which a gentleman called Edwin Poots won to start with, who, for people who don't know, is quite a character. He's a young Earth creationist. Gives you an insight into the DUP right there, that this man was elected their leader. He is now no longer leader, and Geoffrey Donaldson is, but of course he's been saying until the terms of the protocol are changed, he will not be putting either himself or anyone else forward to be Deputy First Minister. What's next then?
That's a very good question. I have to say, obviously Liz Truss's statement to the Commons yesterday was a little bit worrying in its context. The idea of doing something with Article 16 and trying to override the protocol by technically pretending you're introducing something that's to help the protocol when in actual fact it's not, would of course be a very, very dangerous precedent set. It would breach international law potentially, and the EU have already indicated that we can expect a robust legal response if that actually happens.
Well, time's going to tell as to what is going to play out with Northern Ireland. Eternally unpredictable. It's predictable in its unpredictability, you might almost say. So what's next for the Rejoin EU party then?
Very good question. At the moment, we are looking at our recent council election results. We had a trial area in Barnet Council to see how our message would go. We're very encouraged by that as well. Also, obviously, we're very interested to see how some of the other parties are moving. Certainly the Liberal Democrats have upped their game a fair amount, still not exactly where we'd want them to be, but certainly moving in the right direction when it comes to rejoining the EU, and certainly clearly putting it in terms of its policy documents.
One thing that strikes me at the moment is that the anti-Brexit campaign seems to have lost a lot of momentum. Do you feel that, you know, the wind's out of the sails of the Rejoin movement at the moment, and what do you think could be done to change that?
I think we're in a very interesting position, Jason, because whenever we see polling evidence at the moment, it seems quite clear that a modest but firm majority of the UK think Brexit was a mistake, would like to see various aspects of Brexit reversed, and would like to consider potentially rejoining the EU. I mean, the interesting polling evidence is when you say, was Brexit a mistake, quite a strong majority. Should Brexit be reversed? Slightly less strong majority. Should we rejoin the EU? Slightly less strong majority, but still a majority. So we're in a situation where, to a large extent, I feel the argument has been won, but there's just no democratic mechanism to put the will of the people, for want of a better term, into action at this stage. And while we have this current government that just rides roughshod over any public opinion in any particular area, they certainly don't care about the opposition. They don't even care about their own manifesto. I don't think there's going to be much progress. So I think to a large extent, it's not that the wind is out of people's sails. It's just that people realize all they can do at the moment is plan for how to act with better administration.
Richard, thanks very much for joining us.
Pleasure. Lovely to see you as ever, James. Take care.
Thank you.